I've been coming here since I was about 8-10 years old, doing fishing trips here with my father. It's always a real early start, normally stupid o'clock in the morning. And then basically from there, it's a little bit of a burn downstream to where the fish are.
Sprawled across Australia's top end, the region around Kakadu National Park is a natural wonder. A living, breathing landscape brimming with rich ecosystems and wildlife. Fisherman Chris Mills knows the waterways and channels around the Mary River on Kakadu's western edge like the back of his hand.
Over a long period of time, there has been some fairly significant changes. The river itself grows every year.
Here on the Mary River and across the vast tropical north, climate change is leaving a visible mark on the landscape.
Changes are afoot, and we're starting to see them manifesting themselves around Australia in terms of ecosystem failure.
It's like acid eating up something. That's how the sea rise could affect the land.
10, 20 years ago, the climate modelling community was saying we are going to see change, and now we are seeing those predictions are coming true.
With continued high carbon emissions, the CSIRO predicts rising sea levels in the top end could flood almost half of Kakadu's wetlands with saltwater by 2070, transforming the region from a freshwater ecosystem to a mostly marine one.
As the sea level will rise, you'll just basically start pushing more and more salt water up through that natural riverine and channel system. In this part of the world, it's probably double the global average, around 6 millimetres, and that will start to affect freshwater ecosystems.
Deep in wetlands around Tommycut Creek, a narrow channel near the coast, evidence of saltwater intrusion is plain to see.
When we first started fishing this area, these big stalks that you see now, these big towers, they had branches, there was more of them. Over time, they've fallen over, they're disappearing, cyclones come through, big storms. All these little saplings, these little mangrove trees that you can see behind me, they were never there. As the salt water keeps pushing up every single year, it's creating a habitat for mangroves to thrive. So each year that tree line of mangroves just keeps pushing further and further up into the dead forest. So yeah, eventually it's just going to become a saltwater habitat.
Well, that'll transform those ecosystems, and mangroves will be able to colonise further upstream than they currently have or have traditionally occupied. And it'll probably happen fairly quickly, which will no doubt result in gains for some species but losses of other species. It could be grim, yeah, it could be grim.
Not far from Tommycut Creek, a network of earth walls called barrages was installed in the 1980s to slow the invading saltwater.
There's scattered barrages throughout this whole top part of the Mary River to prevent basically saltwater intrusion up into these areas.
But the Northern Territory government has since found the barrages become less effective over time as sea levels continue to rise.
It gives you an idea of how much of an impact humans have been making on the earth.
Inside Kakadu National Park, it's not just rising sea levels that threaten this delicate ecosystem. Annual wet seasons are becoming more unpredictable and cyclones more intense.
So if we're in a small aircraft on 2100, what will we see? I think that's an extremely difficult question to answer. Perhaps a lower biodiverse landscape, given we'll have higher temperatures, more fire potentially, and a dynamic inundated coastline.
The park has a lot of sacred site and it has stories as well. Kakadu has so much in the parks, and if the sea rise level comes up and affect the land, then our animals and native plant will be all dying. It could destroy the whole land, and we won't have nothing.
For now, despite the gradual transformation, life on the river goes on.
Thinking into the future about the Mary River and where I kind of want to see it in 10 to 20, even 50 years time from now. Hopefully it's still got the floodplains, hopefully it's still got the wildlife. It'll still be an amazing fishery and people will travel from a long way to come and see it.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.